everybody. Welcome to the Roxbury International Film Festival. We are so excited to have you with us here and so excited that to have your films, more importantly, be a part of this festival. We, as we were talking a little bit before we came on, the reason why we sort of scheduled your films together is because of this resilience and courage and Black and African women, Black African American and African women, to really sort of take charge of their lives and do it in an unapologetic way. So we're going to talk a little bit about each of your films, and then we'll talk a little bit about that theme, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So let's start with SixTripleEights with James and Colonel Cummings, and just sort of about this story. That's one of the things that we really do here at RoxFilm, is to sort of bring forth voices and stories that people hadn't heard of before. So can you just talk a little bit, both of you, about how you came to this story and what this means to you to be sharing it with a wider audience?
Yeah, and I'll go real quick. So how I learned about this film, or these women, is I was traveling the country with my other film about women, military women, the Hello Girls, World War I women. And so I was screening across the country, and after that, it was over a Q&A, people would ask me, have you ever heard about these Black women from World War II? So the first and second time I said, I haven't, and people are always telling you, Shema probably knows, always telling you, boy, I got this great story for you, you got to do this, right? And so, but it was the third time that someone said that to me. I happened to be in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and screening the Hello Girls, and the woman came up to me and said, had you heard about these women? And I said, no, but I'm starting to pay attention a little bit more, because this is the third time, right? And she says, and one of the women lives here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is my hometown, my home state. So I decided at that time that, you know what, I need to look these women up. What I discovered is there was a lot of photos and individual video of them, but there wasn't a lot of, there was nothing comprehensive from start to finish about their story. So that's when I decided to do it, and I want to turn it over to Edna for the rest of it.
So when Jim had the moment where he decided to do a documentary about the SixTripleEight, I was working on the SixTripleEight project to raise funds to dedicate the monument that you saw in the documentary. Mm-hmm. I'm retired Army, but I'd never heard about the SixTripleEight when I was on active duty. I knew there were Black WACs in World War II, but similar to Jim, you never saw them represented in the media, nothing in the history books about Black women who served during World War II. And the SixTripleEight was only a part of the Black women. So I joined this team to raise money for a monument that was dedicated at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Jim contacted us, and we did a lot of the filming and interviews at the monument. And as we continued to pull the story together, other SixTripleEight veterans appeared, and we included them, such as Miss Indiana Hunt Martin, the lady who was pulling all the German artifacts out of her bag. Jim also said, hey, Edna, now put this solely on Jim. Why don't you put the women in for a Congressional Gold Medal? I'm like, Jim, you want me to introduce legislation? How do you do that? Jim gave me a template and a playbook based on his work with the other film about Hello Girls. Senator Jerry Moran introduced the Congressional Gold Medal in 2019, and it passed the Senate. And Representative Moore from Wisconsin introduced it, but it failed in the House. So both bills have been reintroduced this session of Congress, and the Senate bill has passed. So we're working to get the House bill passed. So in a nutshell, that's where we are with the SixTripleEight, along with the other recognitions and awards. We were also able to get the SixTripleEight, their only military award for performance, a meritorious unit commendation 75 years later in 2019.
You know, that is so unbelievable. And it's unbelievable that you are retired U.S. Army and you had never heard about these women, and yet they were those who came before you. And it's at the stage, and that's so important to have that history for us to know that when we're in our present lives, and when that history is taken away, we don't understand how important that was. So I think that that's incredible that the both of you came together to bring this story forward. So Shema, for your story, I'm thinking it's sort of much the same way. Can you talk a little bit about how you came to these women to tell this story of their courage and resilience and perseverance?
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, first of all, my name is Shema. I'm Rwandan, specifically in East Africa. For those who don't know, yeah. So I came with this story at the end of 2018. I was in one of the event here in Kigali, and then before I had a dream to make a film around the water on Lake Kivu. We have a lake called Kivu, which is a big in a country. And then in that time I was developing my first feature film called Black Widow, not the Marvel, but and then and then I read the story of a fisherwoman on the other side of Lake Kivu, on the north province of Rwanda. It's in the island. So that island, that's where the fisher women live. So I was very interested into the unfamiliar women, because in our culture, it's hard to see the women who do those kind of work, hard work, because normally it's the men who go and spend the whole night on water fishing, looking for the for the catch. So and then so this woman, I called her. I first called the journalist, but the journalist was reluctant to give me the whole information about the woman. And then I decided to go in the quest for looking for that woman. And then later we met, and then I found out the woman I read in the story, it was not the actual woman. So it was a story a journalist made up, but there is another woman, a real one. It was not in the story. So the journalist took the story, he put it on the other woman.
Oh, yeah.
So I was lucky at that time, because the woman I met from the article, she knew the real one. So I asked her to direct me where she lives. So she showed me, and we met, we talked. She liked the idea, and then she showed me the other women. So and then I was very, very into it, because I was a kind of in research. And then we did like a kind of a meeting with her women. So and then yeah, I pitched the story to the workshop I was doing of Rwanda Media Project. It's a German program. So they liked my idea, they picked it, and then we did the whole film during the workshop. So the whole process of the film was happening during the workshop of documentary.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really, I mean, the two, like, so both of these stories, it's sort of like this reluctance to tell the story from a journalistic perspective. I mean, it's interesting that the journalist sort of made up this woman, and luckily you found the right woman to do it.
Funny.
But I mean, I think that that's so much a part of our history as women, certainly as women of color, that those stories get buried and they don't feel, and they don't sit on a shelf that has significance, right? So for the both of you, for all of you, why was it so important that you get this story told? Why is it so important for us, for younger generations, to understand these women and what they've done in history and continue to do moving forward? And how does it help us move forward?
I'll take the first part again, Edna. So with regard to the SixTripleEight women, there was 11 known survivors when we started the project. And today there's 7. Is that right, Edna? There's 7 left. So just within the last 8 to 10 months, we lost 4 of them. And all 4 you meet in the film. And so the remaining 7 are anywhere from 97 to 101 years old. Right. still hanging in there. They're doing great, but we also know there's a finite amount of time that we all have, and certainly that these women have, which also that drove the film and drove the other things that we did. And Edna will talk about, talk about the gold medal, but other things that have happened.
Right. With regards to the Congressional Gold Medal, I don't know.
Yeah, we can see that.
Kinda, yeah.
You can kind of see it, right? So as I mentioned, the Congressional Gold Medal is the nation's highest civilian award. And for your listeners, the bill numbers are House Bill HR 1012. The nation's highest award, when that is granted to the SixTripleEight, it will place them in the nation's history books. It secures their legacy along with the Montfort Marines, Tuskegee Airmen, the first recipient of Congressional Gold Medal, George Washington, and others. So the award is one thing, but the second thing is reading this history and understanding it. It can inform the present, because a lot of things that happened 70 plus years ago are still happening, because the SixTripleEight was disbanded without ceremony, and these women used the GI Bill education benefits. Many of them had careers and became very influential in their community. We had the first Black female president, the first female president of the Wake County in Raleigh, North Carolina, the NAACP, Miss Millie Dunn Vesey. We saw Miss Barker, who marched across the stage at age 99 to receive a diploma. She was the first woman to attend Winston-Salem State College at the time on the GI Bill. So these women came back and made history, but as Charity Adams said, you don't know it's history when you're doing it. You're just doing what you know you're supposed to do, and somebody else tells you that you made history. So there's a lot of good information, lessons about leadership, resilience, and forget the fact that these were Black women. Just from a leadership and logistics standpoint of any sector of our nation, whether it's military, civilian, they did an incredible job. And I just think there's so much information we can learn. And if we do not share this information, it will be, lost in history and forgotten. So that's why it's so incredibly important to capture these stories and to share them, with all generations.
Exactly. And I think that, it's so funny because there's in our family was in, my grandfather was involved in the WPA and the Negro Theater Project. And, when you're talking to them about that point in time, it's always like, well, I didn't know we were making history.
Exactly.
Right. It's just, you're in it, you're doing that. You don't know that you're providing a legacy. And for us to all be able to unearth that legacy, I think is the most important part of it. And so Shema, for Lake women, I mean, I can only imagine the legacy that they are leaving for other young women and other women who want to be in this male-dominated industry, just like for the SixTripleEight, who not only had to fight, racism, but also sexism, because you're in a predominantly male-dominated world. So, So how are these women, and how are you using your film to help tell this story to younger women who might want to get into that industry as well?
Thank you so much. This film haven't been watched by a lot of people so far. I mean, like an audience here from Rwanda, but after this, the pandemic, we are planning to have screening around the country so that we can have this wider audience. So me personally, I can have the people who I was supposed to show the movie. But so far, the people who watched the movie, they really liked it, and these young women, they were really inspired. Not the local people, because they haven't watched it yet, but the international audience, they really liked it. But unfortunately, none of them was experiencing the same thing my characters are still experiencing. But apart from this one, even the other movies I make, most of them is around women. They really kind of we, according to our culture, we are kind of introvert somehow, it's hard to express how you feel. And whenever they see something like that on screen, that's when you know what they have inside. So I hope they will like it, because I always talk to those women most of the time. We talk, they ask me how far the movie is. They ask me when I'm coming to screen it, but unfortunately I cannot go there these days because of the COVID. But me and Angelica, my producer, we are planning to go there, and maybe at the end of this year or in the beginning of next year. That's when it will be safe to screen in the bigger audience here in Rwanda.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I think it's,
there's something I wanted to say about the story of James and Edna. Is it Edna?
Edna, yes.
Okay. I really moved by your story, because right now I'm working on the story which is somehow similar to yours, but I'm working on the veteran who fought the liberation war here in Rwanda from 90 to 1994.
Right,
So
right.
by the time we were talking your story, I was like, whoa, now I'm meeting the real veteran from USA.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So
women
I
have
wanted
always,
to,
Black women
wanted
have
to,
always served in the military, but no one has shared those stories. And you hit on something that was so important. As we spoke with these women, their families did not know the depth of their service because they never talked about it. They were just, I'll call it the quiet warriors, very humble. And they said we were just did our jobs. They didn't think it was a big deal. They were just proud to have the opportunity. But that's a very crucial part, two things that you said. They never talked about it, very introverted, very quiet and shy and reserved. And we brought a lot of history out of those women that no one has ever heard before, not even their families.
You know, if I could add one thing too, is that I'm also an Army veteran, but as you can tell by the screen, I'm a white male. And so one thing that really bothers me is that in America, serving in the military has always been a path to citizenship. You know, if you serve in the military, then people start giving you the benefit of the doubt. Well, you know, for Black Americans, it really didn't happen after the Civil War, a little bit, but then whites came back in and passed all these laws where, because the key, the vote is the key to every other right in America. And so white males particularly knew that. So then they just created laws that stopped blacks from voting. I think of Mississippi in particular was at, after the Civil War, was at like over 90%. And by 1890 of the Mississippi State Constitution, the new one, it fell to 7%. So it's been a disappointment for me to learn that other white males, particularly 100, 150 years ago, put so much effort into stopping people from voting, even those that served in the military. And you know, that's part of our tradition and history and culture, is that if you serve, that's your path to citizenship. So this is just another angle on, you know, race in America.
right. And, you know, I mean, the other thing too, James, that, you know, you bring that up, but it was also the GI Bill was not for everyone. And that was you know, that's a whole other conversation in and of itself, is that, you know, I mean, that was, you know, interesting and infuriating, but not surprising, you know, to hear about, you know, the things that happened. And, you know, you know, it happened to the Vietnam vets who came back. It happened to, you know, World War II. It happened to all of these Black vets, men and women, that they came back, served their country, but were never given what everybody else got who served in these wars. And I think that, you know, we're still back where we were back then, where you have you know, you have states that are fighting to create new voting laws so that to stop Black people again from voting. So, I mean, you know, unfortunately, the fight is constantly the fight, and we can't sleep on it, and we have to constantly be advocates for our own voices. And films like this help to do that, to help unearth that history, because if you don't know your history, you can't move forward. You keep making the same mistakes. So for independent filmmakers, for you all who are out here making these stories and giving them to us and having us have the ability to watch them and share them and use them as educational resources, I think is really, really important. And for Shema, for your film, for African women who, you're right, are traditionally not in that field of fishing, but are incredible fisher women, it's important that young women understand that they can do this work. And there were these women who were courageous and resilient and believed in themselves unapologetically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I wanted to add there is, I don't know if you were about to ask me about that, but that story has to do something with my background. Because I wanted to show my appreciation about how the women about how they sacrifice to make sure their family are still standing. Because I grew up with 4 siblings. I mean, they are women, they are girls. I'm only boy in the house, so they kind of raised me up because I'm in the middle of them. So I'm like their baby somehow. So they raised me. I saw their struggle during my grow up. I saw how they've been, looking around to see me growing, or to make sure I'm being a man I am today. So I was somehow feeling some inches inside me that I have to make this kind of film to show the power, to show the resistance, to show the energy of the women. So it is kind of personal to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is both films talk about women in non-traditional roles. So if you set aside the race, just women, period, doing something that's not expected of them. And so I think that's something that we need to understand. It's time to institutionalize and normalize, women, having the opportunity to seek those positions that have been traditionally not available, whether it's in the military or in your film, but the theme is still the same. So I think that's a remarkable, because I know when I was in the Army, there was a limit on what I could do. And now women have more opportunities, in the military to pursue those career paths. And that is not only giving them respect, but it's, a skill, is education, is training, and it's a career, and it's contributing, to the nation. And that needs to be respected and acknowledged, and, women given the opportunity to do that.
Lisa, can I just add one other quick point, really, with regard to people that'll say, oh, that happened 75 years ago. It's a lot different now. Well, I would share with you that one of the women that, or all the 4 women have since passed, right? It's their daughters who now know their mother's, their mother's story, and in particular, one of them, when she came back home, to your point, she was told that the GI Bill was not for her, and they would not process it for her. And so this isn't a 75-year-old story. This is a story of today, because we know people, women and family members, who this is their grandmother or their mother. So very personal.
Exactly.
Still. I wanted to add that. Thank you.
Exactly. And it's not 75 years ago, isn't that long ago? I feel like there's so much that we could talk about. We don't have time to do that today. But I do want to, I want to give you both the opportunity to, I know that there's some ways that we can, for SixTripleEight, that we can help spread the word about legislation. So if you just want to sort of like tell us what we need to do and how we need to help support the work that you're doing to bring these women the Congressional Gold Medal. So if you want to give us that information, and then Shema, anything you want us to know about how we can support the work that you're doing in Rwanda.
Well, for the Congressional Gold Medal,
Thank you. Shema?
I need to support James and Edna because I really love their story, even if I haven't watched it yet, but I really support them. So please share their story. I wish I could. I don't know if my share mean something to you guys, but I would love to do it.
We love that. And that's why we connect all of you together so that you can connect. So, and you all should share information, especially Shema, if you're doing this story on veterans in Rwanda and women in Rwanda military.
Yes, I was about to say that. So I would love to share also my story with them, even with you, and see how the story is evolving, or how the story is growing. Because as you can see behind me, my editor is doing a teaser of it. So tonight I think it's gonna be finished because we're waiting for the music to be finished, and it's there already. So in a few minutes we are going to export it. So I can even share with you and see what you think about it. Because in July I'm going to shoot the B-rolls of the documentary. Because I have to make sure what kind of B-rolls I'm going to shoot. And I'm working hand to hand with the Rwanda Defense Force to help me get the B-rolls I want, even the locations in the military camps, the old machines were. The national park forest, all the locations I want, they are helping me to get it. So yeah, I'm still kind of in a shooting, editing at the same time. Yeah, so any help, any support, idea, of course, money,
Right.
so everything. Yeah, thank you so much.
And how we can stay connected, Lisa, through the festival, right? We have your email. We can get that.
Yep. Yes, and I'll share all of your emails together. So that would be great. Thank you, Edna, for putting that in for the for us to follow. Well, I just want to thank you all so much for spending the morning a little bit with us here in Boston at RoxFilm. It's been, as I said before, your films are amazing. They're so important for all of us to share, and we will definitely do our part and have and put out there that we need to get the House to pass this legislation. That's really important. And Shema will look for your next film, and James will look for your next film. And have a great Father's Day. And
Happy Father's Day.
And we look forward to your work in the future. So thanks so much, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Colonel Cummings, for your
Pleasure to
service.
meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Come on, pleasure to meet you.
meet you too.
We'll
Have
stay
a
in
good
touch.
day.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we will stay in touch.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.